Friends, we're a month from hurricane season and May starts off active. Your forecast across the Caribbean and the Bahamas starts right now.
This is Meteo Mundo.
Hi friends, Rusty back here at Meteo Mundo. We're your home for Caribbean weather. It's great to see you on a Wednesday. I hope you're doing well. Coming up in this video, we continue to have a very active pattern for a lot of our area. We've had some very healthy rain, some flooding rains, and even some very breezy conditions. We'll get into that. I've got your island by island forecast for you guys as well. We'll talk a little bit more about hurricane season as we are now on the precipice of being within a month of getting that started. As always, Meteo Mundo is sponsored by the Lean Law Firm of Central Florida, your hometown homeowners insurance attorneys, offering free consultation and policy reviews to walk you through every step of the insurance claim process. Anything that can impact you or your home, they've got you covered. Go to leanonmelaw.com if you would like more information. Friends, you're taking a look at our high-resolution visual satellite imagery, the live lightning data here at Meteo Mundo, temperatures and winds. We continue to see this persistent area of trough, or kind of a troughing pattern we call it, from the central Caribbean all the way into the western Atlantic, feeding into this mid-level circulation out here. Winds are out of the north. Bermuda sits at 70 degrees Fahrenheit right now. We also have very fresh north to northeasterly winds through a good portion of the western part of our area and into the northwest Caribbean. But you notice that the winds are a little bit more kind of all over the place here, east, northeast, southeast, right along this shear line, and that's where we've had some very heavy rain for portions of the Dominican Republic, Haiti, the Puerto Rico area to the Virgin Islands and the Lesser Antilles. That's where we continue to see the most active weather across our region on this Wednesday. So let's get into it. These north winds slamming along portions of the DR and Haiti. Healthy showers and storms again. Significant flooding has developed in interior portions of the Dominican Republic, especially in the higher elevations. We've had more than 4 inches of rain in just one day in a couple of areas. So we have all levels of flood advisories and warnings currently in effect. So please check in with your local government and your local officials. But the bottom line is very heavy rain continues here. You can see the lightning developing. So this is not just showers. These are good, healthy thunderstorms. The tropical moisture is very rich right now. You can see Santiago de los Caballeros, again, in the 70s earlier today with heavier showers. We even have some moisture developing on the southern coastline, trying to work its way back inland. So Port-au-Prince and Lacaille. It's just a very wet day across Hispaniola, and it's led to some flooding. If you live in some areas that have seen some flooding, let me know in the comment section below. But it's a very wet day across the island. For my friends in Puerto Rico, we have numerous flash flood warnings that are in effect right now, mainly for interior locations. But I got to tell you something, the entire island is going to be susceptible to flooding. You notice that this flash flood warning here is for what's called considerable flash flooding. Friends, we've had some areas of Puerto Rico today that had more than 5 inches of rain, or 125 millimeters just today. The rain is sitting around. The easterly winds to northeast winds are pinning some of this moisture right along the central and the southern sides of the island. But again, all areas of Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands susceptible to additional heavy rain and flash flooding for today. And again, it's not just rain. We're actually even picking up some lightning for us right now. Now, I can show you guys here at Meteo Mundo the live radar out of Puerto Rico. So this is what it looks like at the hour. It is wet, it is wet, it is wet. Again, flash flood warnings are shorter term warnings for active flooding. It means that flooding is already occurring in these areas. Ponce, Yauco would be included in some of those. And again, just considerable flash flooding potential. There is a flash flood advisory for the entire island all the way through Friday morning. All right, so additional days of heavy rain and flash flooding could occur. Landslides and mudslides are going to be an issue. For my friends in Puerto Rico, let me know how you guys are doing. Send me pictures and videos. Let me help tell the story in your area. But it's a very wet forecast here. And look at all of this heavy rain sitting about 100 miles south of Puerto Rico right now. Hopefully that doesn't get tripped up and lift to the north. It should stay put to the south, but there's just a ton of moisture here across the area. We've had scattered heavy rain through portions of the Virgin Islands as well. U.S., British Virgin Islands, Antigua, St. Thomas, St. John, St. Croix. Again, this has been a little bit more in a passing variety, but I want to be very clear. These areas also have the opportunity for some additional heavy rain and some flooding potential. All right, you can clearly see these brighter whites coming across St. Thomas and St. John right now, a good indication that we're billowing up some of that deeper tropical moisture over the islands. And it's just going to be, does this get right over those islands, or does it stay just offshore? Generally speaking, there's just a lot of moisture to play with here, guys. So this heavy rain flood threat will continue. Now, I'm still expecting some brisk moving showers and some healthy showers and storms through portions of the Leeward Islands as well. Not as concentrated as the Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico, but we're still going to get some areas. And again, just like we've been talking about, the rain chance overall is still going to be high. Maybe we don't get the excessive rainfall for Anguilla, St. Bart's, Antigua and Barbuda, St. Kitts and Nevis and Montserrat, but we could still get pockets of heavier rain. We've had that today. Antigua, nice healthy shower over your area earlier today. Notice the winds here are mainly out of the east rather than coming out of the north. We're not tapping into as much moisture here, but we're still tapping into some. Same situation for Guadeloupe and Montserrat. Healthy showers have pushed over those areas as well. We've had a few showers over Dominica and Martinique. And again, any one of these areas that I've just mentioned, still prone for some heavier rain. Martinique north, St. Barth, Saba, St. Eustatius, Anguilla, all within this zone of rich tropical moisture. We get St. Lucia south and into the Windward Islands. It's a little bit different of a situation. We're going to have more widely scattered showers here. Still going to be some pockets of heavier rain. Let's check out the wind gusts for you guys live out here. Temperatures right now aren't horrible. They're in the upper 80s Fahrenheit, 30, 31 degrees Celsius. No huge wind gusts at this time in this area. No huge wind gusts really anywhere. That's good news. Now, one area that I'm going to be monitoring for better rain chances in the coming days will be Trinidad and Tobago. We're going to start to lift some of this moisture off the mainland, and I'll get more into that forecast coming up. But even though it's more isolated for the Windward Islands in general, TNT will actually end up getting a better chance as well. Nueva Esparta will be in store for some scattered rain as well. Look at the thick clouds over the ABC Islands at the hour. Again, hoping this spells out some scattered showers. My friends in the ABC Islands, let me know. Temperatures very indicative of, again, a little bit in the way of some cooler weather. It's not outrageously cooler, but we've held in the mid 80s for today in most spots. And again, from time to time, we're going to try and billow up a couple of showers in the afternoon hours. We're going to follow this trough back to the north and to the west into Jamaica. Now, again, in this area, we have a brisk northeast wind. It's allowed showers and storms to develop across the island the last couple of days. We've actually favored the central and the southern sides of the islands for some of the heavier rain with the northeast wind. We have our large wave and strong wind advisory for the northern coastal waters. You can see temperatures down south got hot today in Kingston, but again, we've had some rain here. I've got some video from Sandy Bay. This is in the Old Harbor area, just kind of west of Old Harbor from Dave. Again, you can just see the murky sky. It might be hard to actually see the rain falling, but he said they got some pretty healthy totals there in the Sandy Bay area. And again, that murky gray overcast with the showers kind of coming in from the north. So I appreciate Dave sending in that video from Sandy Bay. Again, if you've been impacted by this, very active weather, send me a picture or video. MyMediaMundo@gmail.com is the easiest way to do it. Today, I'll still favor central and southern sides of the islands. We could still get some areas from Ocho Rios to Port Antonio to get some rain, but eventually I think the northern coastline will also have a little bit better chance for some showers. Now, if we follow this northeast wind, the heavier rain developing over the eastern sides of Cuba again, we've had some scattered showers over the southeast Bahamas, Turks and Caicos, where the Turks and Caicos have a small craft advisory that's currently into play for those brisk north winds. When you get into the central and the northwest Bahamas, it's still been a very lovely day here. No real chance for any heavier rainfall. I'll bring on the radar here out of the Miami area. We'll see if any rain has developed here, but generally speaking, I think we're going to basically be dry. The air is just a little bit too dry to really get any good chance for showers across the northwest Bahamas. So let's enjoy it with temperatures in Freeport, Lucaya, and Nassau right around 80 degrees. We could use some rain in the Cayman Islands. We're going to try and get you a little bit better chance. Again, it's been pretty much dry for today, and we've been fairly dry through the Yucatan and the northern sides of Central America. Still seeing this onshore flow, this east wind, so we can still from time to time develop some showers, at least some thicker clouds over Guanaja for today, and then try to drive that towards Belize City and the Belize and Guatemalan coastlines. San Ignacio up to 97 degrees for today, so we try and get some showers in the forecast there, and an area that is going to continue to be inundated with extremely heavy rain that you notice that these wind barbs are kind of all over the place right now. We have our monsoon trough in the eastern Pacific. Look at all those bright white clouds. When I go over to the enhanced satellite imagery, look at all of the moisture pluming over Costa Rica and Panama. We have the Colombian low in play as well. These are all stationary weather features, which means the heavy rain is not going anywhere. So from San Jose to Panama, significant flooding in some of those areas is a possibility in the coming days. Let's get into the forecast, friends. As I mentioned, May is starting off active. Thank you for liking the channel. Thank you for subscribing to Meteo Mundo. We welcome all of our new subscribers. I appreciate all those who have been around for a while as well. Thanks for sharing this with your family and friends, and I appreciate those who have found ways to support us here as well. Taking a look at the Saharan dust layer, it's getting a little bit thicker off of the west coast of Africa, beginning to traverse a little bit farther into the Atlantic basin, and from time to time we'll at least have a little bit of a dust layer in portions of the Lesser Antilles, especially down towards the Windward Islands. Nothing extremely concentrated, really confined to the far eastern Caribbean, but we're starting to get into that time of the year where the Saharan dust layer can get more concentrated and push farther off towards the west. All right. Let's get into the broad perspective here, friends. As I've mentioned, a couple of features to talk about. Now, we have this broad mid-level circulation. We continue to see this trough work its way from here to here in a very stationary fashion, right? This is an overall kind of weakness in the atmosphere, allowing rich tropical moisture to develop and continue to inundate these areas. Look, at this point in time, nothing is tropical, right? No tropical disturbance or anything like that. But this will be a feature that will continue to be close enough to our area to provide us healthy rain and storm chances. And we're not too far off, right, from the possibility, right, that if this were to persist or something else were to develop by mid-May, we could be talking about the first tropical disturbance of the year. We're not there yet, but since we're a month away, that I'd give you guys the list of the 2025 Atlantic names. We're going to go from Andrea and hopefully get nowhere near Wendy. But those are your 21 names from the Atlantic hurricane season this year. Andrea to Wendy. I hope we don't go too deep into this list, but obviously each and every one I'll be covering for you here at Meteo Mundo. So let's get into the forecast, friends. We'll start off here with our GFS model, and I'm going to take you guys out because I'm just so darn nice. We're going to go out a full week, and then we'll break down your 3-day island by island forecast as well. So I just want to, again, kind of point out that, when I'm looking at things overall, I start to have a little bit more focus when we hit the beginning of May. Western Atlantic, the Atlantic Basin, and then even the Gulf of Mexico, right? Now, cold fronts are still able to make their way into the northern Gulf this time of the year. So for now, at least for the first week of May, we're shut down with any potential tropical development. Again, this is a mid-latitude cyclone coming in, and you can clearly see the spin with the cold front coming off of the east coast of the United States. But you can also note that at the end of this loop, look at all of this moisture that, again, follow it from Aruba, follow it all the way up through the Dominican Republic and Haiti, and then kind of spinning in a very broad way. Look at that pulse of energy coming out of the Bahamas towards the end of next week, right? Just a lot of activity overall. Nothing looks extremely outrageous. If we go over to our vorticity or our spin in the atmosphere, right? Again, we still have this mid-level spin right here, which is allowing this trough to kind of sit in place. It's going to almost kind of retrograde or move west and feed back into our next cold front here. But it continues to just provide a lot of pulses of energy and lift in the atmosphere. And so it's a very interesting forecast over the next 7 days to be talking about how wet it could still be in some spots. I am concerned about some areas getting a lot of rain in a short amount of time. And you can clearly see another spin coming off the United States East Coast. This can happen this time of the year as well. We can get areas of low pressure to develop off of decaying cold fronts just off of the east coast of the U.S. Something to watch out for in the next week or two as well. All right, let me go back over to the reflectivity, and then I'm going to bring it back down just over the next 3 days, and we'll get into your island by island forecast. I am going to start off with the areas that I'm still most concerned about where the heavy rain is going to continue to fall. Look, the bottom line is it's going to be wet in the Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, and the Virgin Islands for the next several days. Rich moisture, rich tropical moisture, which means several inches of rain could fall in specific locations each and every day. I hope we're not talking about the same areas getting 3+ inches on a consecutive day basis, but it's a possibility. Look, the National Weather Service of Puerto Rico was talking about how some areas got 5 inches today, and I've seen it looking at the estimated rainfall totals. It's going to be a problem that will only get worse because now your soil is saturated, right? Now all that runoff is going to be trying to find somewhere to go. And so you get that urban and small stream flooding that happens like that. You get the street flooding that happens like that. And with an island like Hispaniola that has a lot of terrain, and even Puerto Rico has a lot of terrain in some spots across the island, you get a lot of problem spots with all that water funneling down. So for Port-au-Prince, Puerto Plata, Santo Domingo, Punta Cana, San Juan, Ponce, San Croix, St. John, St. Thomas, all the Virgin Islands, please just stay very weather aware the next few days. Things should begin to tail off starting on Saturday, but I'm concerned about the rest of this Wednesday, tomorrow, and Friday for high rain totals and flood potential. All right. We're all going to have high rain chances for Anguilla, St. Bart, Saba, St. Eustatius, Barbuda, Antigua, Montserrat, Guadeloupe, Dominica, and Martinique. These islands will also have high rain chances, but their rain totals shouldn't be as significant. If there are going to be some spots that get healthier rain totals, especially tomorrow, take a look at the model. St. Kitts and Nevis, Antigua, Barbuda, St. Bart, St. Martin, Anguilla, Montserrat, maybe Guadeloupe will be in with the rest of Puerto Rico, the Virgin Islands, and Hispaniola as well. Scattered rain, Martinique South, still could be quite heavy, especially St. Lucia into Barbados. Again, not a lot of widespread rain next couple of days, but still some of it could be heavier. I mentioned TNT's forecast. Look at the end of this as we get to Friday and Saturday. Look at this moisture coming in, and then as we move into Saturday, we could actually have some good, healthy rain trying to develop Trinidad, Tobago, maybe as far north as Grenada. Nueva Esparta would be included in this as well. So I'm upping the rain chance in these areas as we get towards the weekend, still keeping places like Barbados more isolated than anything, but also a lot more tropical moisture from that monsoon trough south getting into our area, which means now some of that rain is going to be on the heavier side. Aruba, Bonaire, and Curacao. Again, we're right on that cusp, that precipice of still seeing additional heavier rain. Still got decent rain chances in your area. Let's hope the GFS model, which is one of the wetter models that I've seen plays out, and you guys get at least some widely scattered showers in the coming days. Again, if we go a little bit farther south here, you can clearly see this monsoon trough. That's going to be very elongated west to east, just south of Panama and Costa Rica. But in the vicinity enough, especially with this Colombian low, which is spinning and lifting this moisture north for very heavy rain. Panama, Costa Rica, still concerned about the flooding there. Nicaragua, Honduras, is going to be more scattered rain than anything else. Still some pockets of heavier rain. Northern sides, Bay Islands towards Guatemala and Belize. Again, isolated. I don't have a ton of rain. We talked about San Ignacio. They got into the upper 90s Fahrenheit for today. It's not a unreal chance that we hit those kinds of temperatures in the coming days because we're going to stay relatively dry here. For my friends in Jamaica, once again, we're going to have decent rain chances. We're going to get rain across the island each of the next 3 days. Still think we're going to get a better chance for rain central and the southern sides of the islands at least tomorrow, but beginning Friday, Saturday, we should have a slightly better chance northern sides. Montego Bay, Falmouth, Ocho Rios, Port Antonio. So I'm calling for scattered rain, but it will be localized. Maybe you'll get it 1 out of the next 3 days, maybe 2 out of the next 3 days, but more than likely most areas won't get rain each day over the next 3. Still going to have brisk east to northeast winds. Would still expect some areas to have that large wave and a strong wind advisory. I don't expect there to be a ton of rain in the Cayman Islands. I know we're close to Jamaica, but again, friends, we have this windward passage in this northeast wind that can still pull moisture right in between Cuba and Haiti, where we're coming over some landmass here over Cuba when you get towards the Cayman Islands. That can be a difference in the amount of moisture that gets over these areas. So for Grand Cayman, Little Cayman, and Cayman Brac, it's much more isolated in nature. Scattered rain for the eastern sides of Cuba, a few showers for the southeast, Bahamas, Turks and Caicos, and still mainly dry for the central and the northwest Bahamas. Eventually down the road, we're going to be tracking a little bit more wet weather coming in. And again, by let's say about a week from now, we could be flipping this where the Bahamas could be some of the wetter areas that we might have. So here is your island by island rainfall forecast in the coming days. For the northwest Bahamas, again, not a lot of rain through Saturday. Central and southeast Bahamas, Turks and Caicos, it's very isolated indeed. 40% chance for rain for Cuba favoring the southeast side of the islands. Cayman Islands, I think your best chance is Friday, but at best it's 30%. Belize City, very isolated rain, maybe cool you off a bit. At least if nothing else, you get the onshore breeze in the afternoon. Cancun and Cozumel virtually dry. Jamaica's rain chances, 40% chance tomorrow, Friday, up to a 50 on Saturday. That's pretty darn good. Here's your exceptionally wet weather. And again, it's not just the high rain chances, but the rain totals that are concerning what's already fallen, what is forecast to fall, and the additional flooding that come along with it. So the Dominican Republic, 80% chance the next couple of days, 60 Saturday. Puerto Rico, 70, 60, then 50. You'll notice that these numbers tail a bit on Saturday. We're going to try and kind of break apart that trough and that overall pattern a bit beginning Saturday, but still, look, it's still 50 to 60% chance. Bermuda will see a few scattered showers. Anguilla, St. Kitts and Nevis tomorrow, again, 80% for your Thursday, still around 50 to 60 Friday, Saturday, 70 Antigua and Barbuda, Montserrat through Friday, and then again, slightly lower but still elevated for the weekend ahead. That'll be the same story for Guadeloupe, Dominica as well. 50% chance the next couple days in Martinique, and you can see the tailing chance, but still scattered showers, St. Lucia, the SVG, Barbados, 20 to a 30. Building a little bit by Saturday. Grenada overall 30. There's that building rain chance in Trinidad and Tobago I was talking about. You know, late Friday, but especially into the weekend, our rain chances really start to go up. Suriname and Guyana, as we would imagine with that flow, it's going to stay on the wetter side. Rain chances improving for Nueva Esparta, and at least some scattered showers, especially tomorrow for the ABC Islands. Boaters. Western Atlantic, going to be churned up. Caribbean looks pretty good. There's no area that I am just jumping up and down and saying you got to really, really pay attention. Again, we have our large wave advisory for the northern coastal areas of Jamaica. It's a little bit better on the southern side towards Pedro Bank, but please check in with local officials. Things obviously on the boating side, the mariner side can change very quickly for us here, but we should stay with that east to northeast wind in most areas and just keeping things a little bit calmer overall in the Western Caribbean. Rainfall totals, European model. Watch them really start to build back in again in the coming days. You're going to see a lot of red on this map here, central and the eastern sides of the Caribbean, and some darker reds. You're getting to the 4 to 6 inch plus range, 100 to 150 millimeters. That's widespread, but there will be local amounts that could be, 1.5 times that, meaning that we could maybe get, if we're talking about 4 inches, maybe 6 or 6 inches, maybe up to 9. That could be a big problem. And again, the Dominican Republic, Haiti, the Virgin Islands, the northern side of the Lesser Antilles included in that. Look at the exceptional heavy rain for, again, Panama and Costa Rica as well. That's what it looked like on the European model. This is what it looks like on the GFS model. And I show you both because, first of all, again, you always want to take in different data points. But also with this one, I can bring on my weather computer and we can literally sit here and look at what the GFS model is trying to paint on. And again, if in the next few days we get an additional 4+ inches of rain in the higher elevation areas of Western DR or Eastern Haiti, the flooding threat just goes up that much higher because again, all that water then gets down into the lower levels and you have a lot of flooding that occurs because of that as well. But it doesn't really matter where you are in the Dominican Republic. You should prepare for several more inches of rain, at least 75 to 100 millimeters in most spots in the coming days. It'll be a very wet scenario for Puerto Rico. Again, it's the same situation. We've already had in a lot of interior sections with the flash flooding ongoing, 4 or 5 inches of rain, and some of that has fallen in just 24 hours. Now we're going to add on 4, maybe plus inches of rain. Again, one thing these models can't really do is pick out those areas that can double these amounts, but in a very localized fashion. It's a widespread 3 to 4 more inches of rain through most of the island, but there will be some spots that will more than likely double that. All right, it's going to be a problem. Please, please, please be very cautious. Don't drive into flood waters. Just stay away from any higher water if you can across the island. Vieques, Culebra, St. Thomas, St. Croix. Again, we'll be a little bit lower here, but we're still expecting several more inches of rain in these areas, including our friends in Joost Van Dyke. So wet forecast, cloudy forecast, breezy northeast winds. As I mentioned, the Lesser Antilles overall shouldn't have as much rain, especially up here in the Leeward Islands, although the rain chance is still going to be quite high. So not as concerned about flooding here, but again, pockets of localized heavy rain, quick flash flooding is not out of the question, but just overall, we're looking at more like, a couple of inches of rain at most. Then we get south of Martinique to St. Lucia, and you clearly can see that the rain totals start to fall there. We'll see if some of these higher rain totals that are just south of the island will eventually work their way up towards Trinidad and Tobago, but they should have more rain than everyone else in the Windward Islands. We have a spark to scattered rain. Again, don't know how much of a concentration of rain we'll get in the ABC Islands, but if we can get another half inch, we'll take it. Look at the exceptional rain here again, just to kind of give you guys an idea. There'll be pockets of rain in Costa Rica and Panama that will be several inches, but just offshore here with this monsoon trough, you've got, a foot of rain falling in the eastern Pacific. The Pacific side of Central America into Mexico will be a lot wetter. For our Caribbean side, will be drier. And again, just a few showers here in coastal Belize and Guatemala and the Bay Islands. There's your Jamaica rain. And again, eventually, I think, a lot of this that you see on the northern side doesn't fall until Friday. And then the central and the southern sides, we get a lot of this today and tomorrow. But, let's get a couple more inches of rain in these areas. Everyone's going to get some rain. Montego Bay, Lucy Negril, Savlamar, maybe a little bit quieter. But I do, again, expect rain every day, just not rain for everyone every day there. And then in the Bahamas again. Eventually down the road, by the way, this is going to be, early next week. You can see the model takes us out until what? Is that early Monday morning? If I can quickly do the dates in my head, this is coming later on in the period, guys. In the short term, it's not going to be much there, but you get the idea that down the road we'll get it. Not a ton of rain everywhere else. Widely scattered showers at best. There's this other secondary feature. Can you guys just clearly see how this moisture is being tapped in and sucked into this broad spinning low? All the rain is on the east side. This is where the actual center of circulation is. It's an unusual feature, but it's sitting put. And that's going to be a problem because this moisture feed and this plume of rich, deep tropical moisture is going nowhere. Hey, you guys don't go anywhere. I'm not going anywhere. Find us on Instagram, TikTok, X, Facebook. Again, you want to send me a picture or video, mymeteomundo@gmail.com is the easiest way to do that. Just do me a favor, include your name, where of course the picture or video is from, and you want to give me a little description, I'd appreciate that as well. Also, support those who support the channel. The Lean Law Firm of Central Florida. If you live in Florida, they cover the entire state. Hail damage, hurricane damage, you've been in an auto accident, they'll walk you through every step of the insurance claim process, offering free consultation and policy reviews. I invite you to go to leanonmelaw.com if you would like more information. Friends, for those who are being impacted by the very heavy rain, please stay safe. Let me know in the comments section below how you guys have been doing. If you have a specific question about the forecast, drop it down there as well. You guys take care. I'm back soon with the latest forecast across the Caribbean and the Bahamas, right here at Meteo Mundo.